first on Guam. KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Apply at matson.com. Cars Plus, Guam's automotive leader in sustainability and electric vehicles. Learn more at carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime.
The people have a right to know what he says under oath, says Attorney Jay Arreola as the Attorney General seals GovGuam corruption case. I'm Julian Hernandez with more from the courtroom.
Plus, senators called back into special session to address what the governor calls a legal crisis. But they adjourned without discussing the issue. Nestor Lecanto with the story.
Former Secretary of Finance David Atalik pleads the fifth in the House Committee's investigation into the Boost program. I'm Tomas Maglonia with the full story, as the chair of that committee says they're going to question Boost recipients next.
Hapadays and buenas noches. Bienvenido para KUAM News Primetime. Guahusinik Delgado. A government of Guam corruption case that partially led to the Attorney General withdrawing from providing legal representation for GovGuam agencies back before a Superior Court judge today. But as Julian Hernandez reports, details of the case involving public health officials is now being kept secret from the public as the prosecutor moves to seal the hearing.
The public health government corruption case is sealed even before it was called before Judge John Terlahi. Retired Public Health Director Art San Augustine and Chief Health Inspector Masatomo Nadao, both accused of allegedly signing off on certain school inspection reports for campuses that were never inspected, appeared in Superior Court today. At issue, defense pushing to disqualify Attorney General Doug Moylan. About a handful of witnesses set to testify, including A.G. Moylan himself. But details of what was said in the hearing are being kept secret for now. The prosecution calling for the hearing to be closed off to the public and to the media. KUAM spoke with San Augustine's defense attorney Jay Arreola after the hearing went on for 2 hours behind closed doors.
It would be nice if everybody saw him under oath testifying as to why he thinks he can do this. And so he's able to do that in front of the legislature at prime time. I don't see what he's hiding now. Supposedly all privilege. Not a single question involved anything privileged.
Defense filed the motion to disqualify the AG in the case, arguing a conflict of interest as the office had previously represented the defendants in their official capacities. The AG then sought a protective order that would have prevented the defense team from calling witnesses to help them make their argument in court.
I highly doubt we're going to get through all the testimony. There's about 6 or 7 witnesses that are planned to be called. And we got 2 defendants. Each of them gets to ask, and so it should take a while.
The hearing today comes after Moylan announced his office is investigating 21 GovGuam agencies. Recently, a leaked confidential document outlined why Moylan and his attorneys would not be providing legal services.
He claims this is the reason why he has to withdraw, because he'd rather investigate and prosecute the same people his office represents. And that's what the whole issue is here. This is his excuse for rejecting the government of Guam as his clients, and so people deserve to hear it.
Arreola adding he is working to get the case unsealed. Julian Hernandez, KUAM News.
Senators were summoned back into special session today to address what the governor calls a legal crisis that could derail and delay public projects. But as it turned out, they adjourned before actually doing anything. Nestor Lecanto has more.
Lawmakers were supposed to deliberate on a measure to authorize the use of private attorneys to review and sign off on government contracts instead of the Attorney General. It began when AG Douglas Moylan declared he would temporarily withdraw from reviewing the contracts of more than 20 agencies he says are under investigation. Instead, he wanted the agency heads to agree that his office does not directly represent them, so there would be no conflict of interest if he provides civil advice but later prosecutes them for criminal violations. But the governor has refused to agree to Moylan's so-called workaround, saying the cabinet officials are being forced to give up their rights. Moylan says he will continue the contract reviews with a stamped disclaimer that he's not their direct representative. It's under this backdrop that senators were supposed to consider the private counsel bill, but they never got around to it.
You mean 37 na legislature KUAM is back from recess. Minority Leader, I'll recognize you at this time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's obviously an impasse. I'm going to renew my motion to adjourn subject to the call of the Speaker.
Can you do it? Motion to reconsider first, Mr.
Motion to reconsider the actions of the
On
body.
that motion, are there any objections? Seeing, hearing none, motion carries. Minority Leader,
Renew my motion to adjourn this session subject to the call of the Speaker.
are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Senators were also called into a special session last Friday for essentially the same purpose, but after several hours it was abruptly adjourned, also with no action taken. Nestor Lecanto, KUAM News.
The CNMI House continues its probe into former Governor Ralph Torres' Boost program meant to help struggling local businesses with ARPA funds. Today, the former Secretary of Finance pleads the fifth. Regional correspondent Tomas Manglotnia reports as lawmakers prepare to question Boost recipients.
Former Secretary of Finance David Atalig went before the House committee investigating the Boost program. However, there are still more questions than answers as Atalig pleads the fifth.
Thank you for being very clear about pleading the fifth and your right as an individual. We respect that. However, as the Secretary of Finance are receiving a check in the government, taxpaying dollars, they are paying you to be accountable, transparent, truthful, and honest with funds, whether it be external or internal, in your capacity of Secretary of Finance. Correct? Yes or no?
On the advice of my attorney, I respectfully respond to your question by asserting my Fifth Amendment right under the United States Constitution as well as CNMI Constitution, Article 1, Section 4C.
His responses are a far cry from this 2022 interview with KUAM when the previous legislature investigated Boost.
I have nothing to hide or I do want to cooperate.
Do you stand by Boost?
Oh yeah, Boost is a great program.
We asked him if he stood by that comment today. Do you believe the Boost program was still a good program?
I think at this point, until the committee members or we adjourn tomorrow, we don't have any comment.
He's expected to testify again on Wednesday at 2 p.m. and when he's dismissed, the committee says they're not done.
We have more. We're looking at bringing in some of the recipients in just so that we can answer some of the questions the secretary could not. There's a lot of recipients that receive it properly. They use it properly. We're not bringing those in, but those that never did anything with it, I know there's a task force that's from the, I guess the Secretary of Finance side that would look into that as to what happened to the funds.
We're also considering calling in former Governor Ralph Torres and his former Chief of Staff, Will Castro. Tomas Manglotnia, KUAM News, Saipan.
We'll be back in a moment.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Looks like it's prime time on.
Dr. Garcia?
Crest Reality Checkup.
That grimy film on your teeth, it's actually the buildup of plaque bacteria, which can cause cavities in months. And your toothpaste just isn't cutting it.
Most toothpaste quit working in minutes, but the antibacterial fluoride in Crest Pro Health protects for up to 12 hours.
So I can stop cavities before they start.
Can I get a latte?
The #1 toothpaste brand in America, Crest.
Unlock your brightest smile with Crest. Available now at Payless.
Order Pizza Hut now and get a free large pizza later. That's a free pizza on your next order. So you can pizza now, then pizza again. Free pizza means your next dinner is covered. Your future self will thank you. Get it while it's hot. Only at Pizza Hut.
Welcome back to Primetime. Hugget native Walt Nelta is back in the news tonight in the classified documents case involving former President Donald Trump. Former employee Brian Butler telling CNN how he unknowingly helped Nelta deliver boxes of classified information from Mar-a-Lago to the former president's plane in June 2022.
What happened is Walt left before me, and he never goes directly to the plane. He's either in the motorcade or when he goes there with the boss, which the former president. And I remember telling him he left the club with, I didn't know what he had in his vehicle, but he waited for me at a nearby business, and I told him I would tell him when I was leaving Mar-a-Lago. So I left Mar-a-Lago, I texted him, hey, I'm on my way. He followed me, he pulled out and got behind me, we got to the airport. I ended up loading all the luggage I had, and he had a bunch of boxes.
You noticed that he had boxes?
Oh yeah, they were the boxes that were in the indictment, the white banker's boxes. That's what I remember loading.
Nelta is charged in a Florida court with conspiracy, making false statements, withholding documents, and obstruction of justice. He stands accused of conspiring with Trump to thwart federal investigators' efforts to retrieve classified files from Mar-a-Lago. Is a man who allegedly threatened to blow up Guam's military bases fit to stand trial? Defendant Paul Sanchez appearing before presiding judge Alberto Lamarena in Superior Court today. It was said in court that parties will review Sanchez's latest psychological evaluation. The judge will now decide if the case will go to trial. As reported, Sanchez was charged with terrorizing and assault after he allegedly threatened to kill everyone on Guam's military bases back in October of 2022. Sanchez is scheduled back in court on March 26th. The Guam Department of Education's Head Start program getting high marks from the feds. Head Start program acting director Angelina Lape telling Guam Education board members during Monday's board meeting of the progress made since representatives from Region 9 visited the schools last December.
They're saying that there's this good job with active supervision and we should continue along the lines of these other areas that teachers have identified. One of the reviewers also made a comment about how impressed they were with our Head Start classrooms and the integration of the culture and language and what they saw when they went out there. We had some parents who came to our exit and also spoke to the team afterwards, and they shared that they really felt like we did a good job. So again, we'll find out for sure when the report goes to the internal control.
She adds the findings will be routed to the Office of Head Start in Washington, D.C. A final decision is expected in 45 days. As reported, the Education Department was up against a March 5th deadline to correct standing deficiencies to gain compliance or risk losing federal funding. Now for a look at your world at home. Here's a view captured at the Archbishop Felix Bertos y Flores Circle in Tumani.
Troy Polamalu Safety, a.k.a. the Quiet Storm. Troy's seen more out of the corners of his cold steel eyes than most mortal men have seen straight on. The last thing an offense would witness? A fury of flowing mane incoming at high speed.
Hey!
Cat-like quickness and supernatural instincts like Troy's only come once in a lifetime. And oh, how grateful we are that they came in ours. No one made the beloved burg of Pittsburgh feel quite as safe as this safety. The Hyundai Tucson with advanced safety and tech, because even safeties could use a little more safety themselves.
How many games do you guys have today?
We're at 4.
4 games. Okay. Coach, I think that deserves pizza afterwards. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Some serious soccer is being played at the Guam Football Association's National Training Center here on Harmon Loop Road. This past weekend kicked off 3 Sunday tournaments commemorating AFC Women's Football Day.
As you can see, there's 480 girls here. It's a sight to see. So we're excited to see them raise the trophy at the end of the day.
The first event was the annual Sugar and Spice Football Festival for middle schoolers, which always promotes good and fair play, exciting matches, fun for all, and nail-biting excitement for parents.
Today is actually Women's Day. For athletes, we have actually 17 middle schools here. That's pretty much all of them. That's competing for coveted Sugar and Spice. So we are in our 15th year, and we appreciate all the coaches and schools who are participating.
Throughout March, women and young girls will take to the pitch and exhibit the skills they've been developing, get valuable experience, make new friends, and welcome a team from Japan.
Next week we have our Challenge Cup, which is 11 high schools will be joining us, and in the 24th we would have the Tokyo Select Group coming.
The month-long event is also a chance for national team scouts and coaches to see what female athletes have the potential to be the next stars, the future strikers, midfielders, and keepers to represent Guam as players on the Masakata, the Guam national women's football team.
You know what, I want to say congratulations to our Masakata. We did do well against Saudi Arabia. That gives and inspires the girls that we are in the caliber of the world football. So our girls are ranked pretty high, so we're very happy with our women's program.
Attendance is free and parking is ample, so cruise by GFA on Sundays and enjoy the matches.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Part of getting that your good offer accepted is letting the listing agent know in advance, hey, we know what the situation is. My buyer understands what's going on, and this is what they're prepared to do to win. I mean, with negotiations, there's all kinds of factors that go into play.
I mean, if the bank approved you for $300,000, you might as well bid $300,000, right?
Well, it depends. Sometimes they want to go the distance and sometimes they don't. But again, it will be subject to the market. But not only is price the factor when Gina and I put together the documentation and the offer, there are certain contingencies that we place in the offer. And one of them could be that the offer is subject to appraisal. It could be subject to inspection. So we put in safety catchers in that document, subject to appraisal, subject to their inspection, interior and physical inspection of the property, subject to making sure that the boundary points are within the government standards. And so there are things that we place in that documentation that is critical. So for example, if we submitted an offer for $500,000, but the offer, the property only appraised at $450,000, what happens next? So those are critical factors to discuss, that if it doesn't hit the appraisal value, what then? Are you willing to pay the difference, or are you willing to stick with whatever that appraisal values that is reflected in the appraisal? So,
I know a lot of people have told me, some of the feedback I've gotten from our show here has been that they say the word offer to them kind of conveys the fact that this might be like an auction. So, start low and go up and up and up and up. But like you said, Gina, sometimes if you do get into a bidding war, that can be scary territory.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty. Weekly Renewal is brought to you by Calvo Select Care.
Half a day, I'm Claire Calvo, bringing you your weekly renewal. When we talk about fasting, we probably automatically think about restriction from food, like a cleanse or a detox or intermittent fasting, which has become quite popular over the years. Clearly, there are different styles and versions of fasting, but fasting is basically abstinence, and abstinence can be applied to just about anything. However, in this context, I am referring to food. During a fast, some people limit their intake to only liquids or water, or a dry fast, or to a certain food item or food group. and others focus primarily on feeding time or time restriction. Just as there are different styles and versions of fasting, there are also different purposes as well as benefits. There are myriad benefits of fasting, from physical, mental, all the way down to spiritual. We're probably mostly familiar with the physical benefits, which include but are not limited to weight management, improving metabolic health, balancing blood sugar levels, blood pressure, insulin sensitivity, as well as brain health, cognitive function, and this is huge because of the brain-gut connection. BDNF, gut health, the reduction of inflammation, which includes pretty much all the itises, colitis, diverticulitis, sinusitis, and is also considered to be the root of many disease, inflammation that is. And obviously detoxification, cleansing out toxins and leading to overall health and well-being. So clearly there are many health benefits for the physical body and mind. However, there are also other benefits. The origin of fasting was primarily spiritual. Fasting practices were recorded as far back as 1500 BC with the Vedic, Hindu, and Jainism religions. For many island residents, fasting is an annual part of our Lenten season, the weeks leading up to Easter. Some abstain from certain food items and others entire meals. As far back as I could remember, there have always been Lent specials at most local restaurants, which were basically void of meat. However, Catholics are not alone in this practice. Most religions practice some form of fasting for spiritual purposes. Other than Christianity, practitioners of Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Taoism, and Jainism recognize and practice fasting during specific times of the year, like Lent, Ramadan, or Yom Kippur, or as a regular weekly practice. Albeit different styles of fasting, the inspiration and purpose are similar: developing spiritual strength and self-mastery, enhancing prayer, obtaining spiritual guidance, and deepening the connection to God. So whatever the reason or the season, springtime is always a great time for a fast, a great time to reset. And locally, we have a few groups, support groups, and places that offer cleanses and detoxes, such as Dr. Hornucci's Wellness Clinic, SDA, I know Ignite as well has cleansing programs, as well as Synergy Studios. So if you would like to check them out, you could go to these different establishments, maybe check online. However, if you just want to do a simple fast on your own, there are many websites that could lead you through a safe and slow fasting program. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time on your Weekly Renewal.
Weekly Renewal is brought to you by Calvo's Select Care.
Introducing GTA Scratch, Save, and Win. At GTA, everyone wins big with huge savings on the latest smartphones. Here's how to play. Get a scratch card when you sign up for a new Live Unlimited plan. Then scratch and save up to $500 off your new smartphone. It's that easy. Plus, one lucky winner will instantly win a free phone of their choice. There's never been a better time to switch to GTA, Guam's most reliable network. Don't miss your chance to scratch, save, and win with GTA. Visit us in-store or online at gta.net.
Try new McDonald's sauce now.
Now?
Huh? The race to McDonald's is on!
I will win!
Welcome! I guess we both win. Try new savory chili McDonald's sauce, only at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, go!
In this week's Giving Every Tuesday, March is Red Cross Month, and along with highlighting the incredible efforts of the American Red Cross Guam chapter, we also want to shine the spotlight on 3 of its volunteers who will be recognized at an upcoming Volunteers Heroes event taking place in Honolulu, Hawaii. Meet Diane G., Tish Borja, and Margie Nicholas.
Our mission with the Red Cross is to alleviate human suffering by providing comfort and care.
G, who's been an ARC volunteer for 5 years, recently assumed the role as regional program manager for services to the armed forces. She says it was her husband that inspired her to become a volunteer.
When we lived in Iowa, he was a disaster services volunteer, so he did a lot of disaster action teams, so he responded to fires and such. When we moved to North Carolina, I just kind of fell in love with what he was doing, was getting my degree in fire and emergency management, and it just fell into place for me. So, and it's, that drive to want to give back. Helping those who need it is what drives us.
For Borja, who has been a volunteer for 4 years, her desire to give of her time started during the COVID-19 pandemic and was a result of an accidental sign-up.
I was in AmeriCorps, and we took a psychological first aid training with the American Red Cross. And I got a call from Hawaii congratulating me for signing up as a volunteer. And I believe it's one of the best accidents I've ever had. Every minute that I have that I can volunteer to help our island and our community has been very precious to me.
Nicholas started out as an employee with the American Red Cross, but when she left, she continued as a volunteer since 2014, loving the mission of the organization.
The Red Cross has so many things that, they can do to help the community, and I love helping other people, especially when there is a big disaster or anything as far as like life-saving skills as well, because I teach the first aid and CPR. I'm proud to be American Red Cross, that's how it is, because all this help that we can give out to the community, and, that's why I will never leave the American Red Cross.
For these passionate volunteers, what would they say to encourage others to give of their time?
Look at your heart. It's there. The need for it is right there. So really just look inside, see what you can give. And, the Red Cross, we have so many ways that you can give. There's something that fits with everybody. We accept all kinds of heart. If they're looking to volunteer, just take the leap. Just do it.
It's just a few minutes of your time, and that few minutes of your time makes a difference in someone's life. So it's not an hourly commitment, a weekly commitment. It's whatever you have, time that you have, that you can be part of the American Red Cross. We value that. It's an asset to us.
The good thing about being a American Red Cross volunteer is you do not just go out there and just help out. We train you from the basic, because all our volunteers actually are all trained, like when it comes to service to armed forces, when it comes to disaster, how will you respond, how will you take care of yourself during disaster. These are all we all got trained from all of this, so we don't just go out there. We are prepared actually. We're prepared to go out and help other people.
With this week's Giving Every Tuesday, Jonigan Charfris, KUAM News.
Giving Every Tuesday is brought to you by J. Goodman, a happiness company.
All right, everybody, our friends at West Care Pacific are hosting a kids summer camp. This is for kids 11 to 14 years old, and you are invited. Enrollment is free, but you have to enroll. That's key. It happens March 25th through 29th at 8:30 a.m. at the Jotnia Community Center. DOE is celebrating a half century of Chamorro Month. Biba Mes Chamorro, and you can take part in several activities throughout March. Coming up on the 17th, there is the Chamorro Slingstone competition that's happening at the baseball field in Manguilao. And pesticide training is happening up in the CNMI. If you want to know how to use pesticides safely, please make sure to attend. It is going to happen on March 14th on Tinian and Rhoda on March 15th. That is what's happening today in News Bites.
Now for your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shoutouts submitted on KUAM.com.
All right, guys, I got to tell you, I am super stoked for today's birthday on Tuesday, March 12th, because several members of our extended family here at KUAM are celebrating, and we are blowing out candles for them. So let's all do this together, right? Everybody, ready? Happy birthday to Clin Ken Tucaro. Happy birthday from your mom, who everybody knows here at KUAM is our accounting manager extraordinaire, Miss Anna Tucaro. And Clin, we hope you are going to have some amazing, amazing pancit, because your mom treats us to that, and we hope you have a wonderful birthday. Valerie Menno. Reese Meno's mom and Val, we hope you have a absolutely fantastic day, and we hope your family celebrates you. You certainly deserve it. Have a wonderful time. Faith and Alyssa Mendiola, happy birthday number 45 to Faith, and please have a great one with love and hugs from your kiddos, family, and friends. Belated birthday wishes going out to engineer Winifredo Gallega. Happy birthday to you, born on the 10th. Dr. Edwin Jesupit of FHP. Hey, thank you for your service to our island, and happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Doc, from all your friends and family. And another member of the Meno family, this is Reese's father, Coach Bruce Meno. We hope you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Coach, congratulations on all your success over there at FD, and more importantly, happy birthday from your family and your extended family here at KUAM. What a great day to have a birthday, and if it's yours today, we hope you have the best one ever.
Estagi izun mizun primetime show. Si Diyos ma si put nenenega. Guahusinek Delgado. Adios. Half a day, everyone. Nick Delgado with the KUAM News Team. Decision 2024 in full swing. It feels like August 3rd is already just tomorrow for the primary election. And we want to get to the hot ticket item on the ballot, the race for Guam's next delegate. We're going to give you a round to hear from each of the candidates vying for that position. And first up, Ginger Cruz. Half a day, Ginger.
Half a day, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
Race for Washington?
Yes.
Tell us what made you come to that decision that we have here today?
Well, last semester I had the great honor of being able to teach at the University of Guam. I've been back to Guam now for a couple of years, working in the private sector and supporting defense contracting and a lot of the work that's going on related to the military buildup. And I really wanted to get more involved in the island. So I was fortunate enough to have the University of Guam bring me on. And I was teaching U.S. foreign policy to a bunch of really engaged and wonderful students. Mm-hmm. And throughout that time, as I was putting together my thoughts to be able to sort of teach this new generation what they needed to be prepared about the future, it got me thinking deeply about what solutions do we need to have in place? What kind of a vision does the island need to have in order to overcome problems that have been here for so long? You know, when I came back to Guam, my husband was joking with me. He said, you know, I was talking about how some things stayed the same after a really long time. And it's like an episode of As the World Turns, you know, one of those old soap operas.
Yes.
Where you can leave for 20 years and then when you come back, it's some of the same problems that are still causing issues for the people of Guam, that are causing the high cost of living, that are causing the lack of real development with the economy, that are causing problems and hiccups with the relationship with the Department of Defense and the military as they're trying to expand. And how does Guam benefit from that and, you know, not have adverse impacts on the community? So all these things were in my head. So at the end of the semester when I finished, I really thought deep and hard about it. And I'm one of those people that, you know, I don't want to just criticize it from the media or from the newspaper. If I can do something about it, then I should at least try.
Okay.
So spoke to my family, took a long, hard look and said, you know, let me give it my best and let me try this time, because I really do believe that there are solutions out there that have not been tried, that have not been thought of. And the time is now. Guam is in a unique window of time where we have the world's attention, and I just felt compelled to jump into the race.
What was your loved one's response when you finally had that conversation?
They were really excited.
Yeah.
So I have a daughter that lives here now. I now have a grandson who's at Mercy Heights doing the preschool there. And you know, that also gives you a different perspective. You're looking at the future that they're going to be facing. And, you know, back in the days in KUAM, you know, you were covering issues, but I didn't have that extended family. And now, as I've gotten older with, you know, over 35 years of experience, both in Guam, in the federal system, there's just a lot more that I can do. And my family was completely supportive. My husband was really excited about it. All the kids are excited about it. a lot of the people that I've been talking to since I was at Academy were like, you know, we kind of knew someday you would run. And so I guess the time has come.
And you've been approached before about being in political office as well, in the public eye, and that.
I have. Actually, so I worked under the Joe Atta administration with the Republican Party early on. I worked under Peter Leon Guerrero at the Bureau of Planning, and that was an amazing time. I was part of the group that really got the first compact impact grants for Guam. So that was a long, long time ago. And then, of course, I worked with Carl Gutierrez. I was his communications director, and that was an incredible experience as well of public service for the island. So I've been sort of through a lot of these efforts. There was a time in KUAM, actually, when Governor Atta came here one time and had worked with that team to try and get petitions signed to get me to run for senator. And at the time, I really wanted to stay in media, so I did. And Governor Gutierrez, same thing, you know, was talking to me as we were sort of going through the second term, saying, you know, why don't you then move on and become part of the legislature? And at the time, I felt like I needed to expand my knowledge and really understand the other side of what happens in Guam. And so really that's what I did for the last 20 years, work on the federal side of the issue and learn how things work and what makes federal agencies tick. And then now coming back home to a place that, you know, has always been my home.
Yes.
I put pieces together and the puzzle pieces just kind of fall in place. And I think the discussion, hopefully with the people that are going to be voting, I hope to see the next couple of months full of discussions. I hope discussions with everybody who's running for the office about some new ways to approach long-standing issues that the people of Guam are facing.
Okay, well, we'll get to more of that discussion in a moment, as well as I want to unpack a bit of your platform if you have that on hand. When we return in a moment, keep it here.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
Welcome back to the interview. We're going to continue our talks now with candidate for Guam delegate, Ginger Cruz. Half a day, Ginger.
Half a day.
So tell us, what is your platform?
So the platform is developing still. I certainly have a lot of areas that I want to focus on, but I also am very open to having discussions with all of the different interest groups on Guam. I've started some outreach to veterans organizations. I think that there's a lot of lip service paid to real issues that are being faced by vets. And I'm not about lip service. We need to find creative solutions that will actually bring up the quality of care and the attention that they deserve. Issues for the younger generation. I was just talking to some students up at the University of Guam. We're going to work on a get out the vote. But I think the reason that young people are disengaged and don't really come out to vote is because they don't feel like they're being heard. They don't feel like their issues are pertinent anymore to what the politicians are saying. And so I'm going to have a very active effort to gather more input and talk to folks under 30 to find out, you know, what are the issues. We know some of the basic issues, and I think those are all going to be part of the platform, but I want to get that input. So moving to the things that I think are going to be essential. So the first thing is the cost of living. And I think, you know, every single time somebody starts out, they always say the Jones Act. You know, it's almost like this rote discussion, oh, we've got to fix the Jones Act, right? That's a very deep and difficult discussion. You can't get it repealed because it works for the continental United States, and Guam is an anomaly. But there are certainly ways that Guam can utilize this moment in history where the entire United States national security depends on the critical positioning of Guam in order to deter anything from happening in the Asia-Pacific region, and can leverage that into targeted exemptions where we can carve out Guam, where we can make things easier, not just for us, but also for the folks that are trying to improve the nation's security. So I think that is an issue that certainly is at the top. The SSI, I think, is one of those issues that's always been around. And it's not just writing letters or just saying the same things or continuing to cry about how it's so unequal and why doesn't Guam get it. It really is going and sitting down with the federal bureaucracy from a regulatory standpoint, figuring out how can we create something that isn't going to have so much of a budgetary impact that Congress will turn it down, and find creative ways to get SSI for the people on Guam, because it's only fair. Another really key area, and I think this is one I don't want to scare people, but at the same time I don't think people talk about it enough. Guam, they always talk about us being the tip of the spear. And if you read too many articles about what the Department of Defense is saying, every single war game that talks about any sort of conflict with China over Taiwan, one of the first things that's going to happen is Guam will be attacked. Same token with North Korea. I think there need to be a lot more serious discussions about the type of support, the type of planning, the type of understanding that we have on Guam about the threat that we face. Because this island is never, it's irreplaceable. It has a people, it has a culture. Every single life is precious. And the new general taking over for the Indo-Pacific, it was very interesting. He just testified before Congress. And he said the most important priority for him is the 170,000 Americans that are living on Guam, which is absolutely true. But we need to have a serious discussion on Guam about preparedness, about understanding the threats, about actively understanding that deterrence, because this isn't just about protecting the bases. This is our lives. This is everything. It's our existence. And I think the people of Guam need to be very involved in that and understand that more. So those are just a few of the things. But of course, you know, in addition to that, you know, healthcare is a huge issue. We've got to improve the quality of healthcare in Guam, and how can the federal government be involved in that? And then I think finally, we don't need a welfare society. We need to stop having that mindset where we go to Washington and we're always asking for a handout. Oh, we need money, because it's a one-time thing. The federal government's great about giving us handouts, but after the handout's spent, we go right back to ground zero, where we're not in a situation where we can help ourselves. We need to seriously focus, working with the legislature, working with the governor, working with everybody on the business community, and create lasting potential for Guam to diversify its economy beyond tourism and improve its economy so that we're making our own money and we're not always looking for a handout.
Sounds like you built your platform just right here for us. Okay. Well, we want to speak with you more about your history and your journey that brought you to this run. So we'll get to that in a moment here, but we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back with more interview in just a moment.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
For the first time in 30 years, Coors Light has an ad in the big game.
Actually, this is a Miller Lite commercial.
Mountain Cold Refreshment. It's Miller time. Great taste. Less filling. Cold as the Rockies.
Chorus commercial.
Miller commercial.
Actually, it's a Blue Moon commercial.
Welcome back to the interview. Continuing our conversation now for Decision 2024 is the candidate for Guam delegate under the Democratic ticket, Ginger Cruz. Hafaday, Ginger.
Hafaday.
So talk to us a little bit about your history that brought you to your decision to run. We, of course, know longtime anchorwoman, KUAM is always going to be home.
It is.
And then you kind of took a step back.
I did.
And went along a new journey.
I did. So I think the first important thing to say, though, and I don't know a lot of people know this about me, is I went to Harmon Loop Elementary School, just like right down the street from here, right? Lived in League One Terrace. I am a product of Guam. And the one thing that I am eternally grateful for is when I went to Washington, D.C., and I served as a Deputy Assistant Secretary at the U.S. Department for Housing and Urban Development, really getting into domestic issues. I worked directly for Andrew Cuomo, who was the Secretary at the time. And then, you know, in my career, I was lucky enough to be the Deputy Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction, where I got to report to the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State, and report to 8 committees in Congress.
Proud moment for a local girl there.
That was a lot. And you know, it was a moment where you really felt like you were contributing to the nation's security. I served for 8 years in that position, and I served in Iraq under fire. I was a 2-star general equivalent on the civilian service side. And so as a civilian part of the Department of Defense, still had to wear the body armor and was still, I mean, I had staff who were, I had one staff member who was killed, unfortunately, during that, during those 8 years. But we were in that same environment and really defending the national security of the United States and being involved in something that was truly important. But one of the things I was saying to the students at the University of Guam, I was able to do all these incredible things, but I'm a product of Guam. So when people say, you know, my daughter moved here and some of her friends from Arizona were saying, are the schools good enough for your son? And I said, I'm a product of both public and private school. I went to elementary school here, I went to St. Anthony's, I went to Academy. You know, I went to the University of Pennsylvania, but then I came back and I worked here in Guam as long as I could. So then when I left, you know, those jobs that I was in, both in the private sector as a consultant working for federal agencies and directly working as a high-level senior executive service federal official, gave me an incredible insight into how the sausage is made. How does the federal government really think about these issues? What are the calculations? And how can you actually move the needle? Yeah. Can you change policies? And the entire time that I was with the Iraq Inspector General, there was a whole new discipline for what we called contingency contracting. It was an adjustment because the United States had never really been involved in a long-term reconstruction program. And there was a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. So when you look at that and you're trying to stop that, but you also want to be able to strengthen peace in the world and be able to use all the levers, diplomacy, the military, economic development, how do you do that on a grand scale? And where did I learn all of that? I learned it in places like KUAM, working under, you know, Governor Adda, definitely working with Governor Carl Gutierrez, who I learned so much from. And all of these experiences contributed to a knowledge that I think really helped me succeed on the federal scene. And so now the thing that's exciting is I would love an opportunity to bring that experience back to Guam and to really leverage that and to see what creative solutions can we come up with to really move the needle, not just give lip service to the same old tired, you know, asking federal government agencies to bail us out, but really thinking solutions that will work for Guam. And I think those experiences that I've had, I feel really prepared. I think this is the time. And I really think I have a lot to contribute.
Okay. Well, thinking optimistically here, and I'll ask this of all the candidates, of course, should you make it past the primary and past the general into that seat as Guam's next delegate, have you ever thought about what would be your first action?
Yeah, so there's one piece I think that is very important, and it may not be politically correct to perhaps say it, but I think it really is critical. So the Guam delegate seat is a non-voting delegate seat. I don't get to cast a ballot, but there's a couple of things that it does give you. It gives you a platform, not just to teach people about Guam. Oh, we're an island west of the international date. That's not important. We need a voice there that's able to actually convince other states to support things that are good for us and good for them. It's not just using that to spread the word about Guam. It's not the Hafiday spirit, hey, come and visit our island. It's got to be used more strategically. That voice in Congress needs to be able to deliver results, because words as a weapon system, it's something I always say. If you can use words as a weapon system, if you can create something by talking to the right people and pushing policy initiatives through that end up in real results on Guam, then you're really using that seat. Second thing is, you've got to hire staff that are incredibly experienced. So I've already reached out to folks that I know on the Hill, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. We used to work together when I was working for Andrew Cuomo. She's now the senior senator, or the junior senator under Chuck Schumer for New York, but she's been there a long time and she's got a lot of experience. People like that, talking to them and finding some key professional staff with 20, 30 years experience who absolutely know how to navigate the Hill, recruit them to come and work on the Guam team. And to be our weapons, to be the people that help us to all of a sudden, I mean, we don't have the experience ourselves. We don't have time to, spend 10 years learning it. So we need to have a congressional office that recruits key pieces of expertise to supplement the local expertise and have advisors here in Guam who know those Guam issues, put it together and have an office that punches above its weight. Have an office that's really deeply embedded in the system and can get major initiatives through in key committees, Armed Services Committee, Natural Resources Committee, the committees that matter to the people of Guam.
Okay, look forward to seeing how that all pans out should you move forward in the race here. We're going to take one more break and wrap up the interview here, Ginger, but keep it here. You're watching The Interview.
Brian Dawkins, Safety, aka Weapon X. Brian laughs at audibles, laughs. For there is nothing he does not anticipate. He is never caught off guard because his guard is always up. His skills of perception are honed like talons. Brian sees all. He knows all. Dominates all. His defensive prowess is feared the world over. The all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 5 with advanced safety and tech. Because even safeties could use a little more safety themselves. Search for your Hyundai Ioniq 5 today.
Welcome back to The Interview. Continuing now our interview with Guam delegate candidate Ginger Cruz.
Half a day. And I'll tell you, I mean, I still need to turn all the packets and get all the signatures done. So there's a couple of steps to go, but we're well on our way. And thank you again for the opportunity.
Of course. Thank you for the time as well. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that the voters hear about your campaign?
There's a lot that I want people to know about, and there's a lot I want to hear. There's two areas I think that are important for somebody who's running for this office. One is to really listen to people's issues, because at the end of the day, this is a representative office. It's not necessarily about you. It certainly is about your experience and your ability to get things done, but at the same time, you represent the people of Guam. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the next couple of months just going to different areas with different groups of people, as many groups and types of people that I can reach. All the different age groups, all the different interest groups, all the different villages, and really listen to the issues, because that will help to inform the priorities for the office. Because at the end of the day, it has to be about what the people of Guam want for the island. It's not just an individual's vision. It's got to be a shared vision among everybody. So building that vision will be really key for me in the next couple of months. And I also want to have as many opportunities to just talk with people, to share thoughts and ideas, because when you bounce those ideas off of each other, new things come out.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I mean, just talking to you in this interview, I've already thought of 2 more things that maybe I need to talk to these people or those people. So it's a dialogue, and it's an important dialogue, and I really am looking forward to seeing the input of people. I've been listening now for a couple of years to what people think. And I've learned a lot from that. And so I think listening is going to be a key part of where I'm going to go in the next couple of months.
And there's a lot more listening to be had in the coming weeks and months ahead. August 3rd seems like tomorrow. Do you feel that there are any challenges you might face, and what you'll do to tackle those along the way?
Really, it's about getting people's time and interest and attention. I think there is a general a feeling that politics just doesn't work for people anymore. And your average families and individuals don't spend a lot of time because they probably think it's a waste of time. They think, oh, another politician, here we go again, it's an election, because they don't see their lives changing. They don't see the things that matter to them changing in a real way. And that's one of the hardest things about policy. See, I really look at this less as politics and more as policy. Right? Okay. It's important to go out and touch people and reach them and to let them know I'm there and I care. But I want to professionalize the Office of Congress, because I really think, I had this metaphor that I was thinking of this morning. When you get on an airplane, it would be lovely if the pilot was somebody that you knew, that was part of your family, that you were friends with. But the most important thing is that person has to have the experience to fly that plane and keep you safe, right?
Yep.
The Office of Congress, to me, is the same. The Office of Congress needs somebody who has the experience to be able to have a vision and fly the people of Guam through some really choppy, dangerous waters and get us to a destination, right? And it's wonderful if the person who's in the cockpit is somebody that you like, or somebody that you know, or somebody that you're related to. That's great. But it also needs to be somebody who understands the professional requirements of that office, because there's so much that can be done. And if we approach it that way, and we approach it as a place where in those 2 years you can actually accomplish something, it's less about, it's wonderful to give kudos to folks or to say, we need a statue for the people of Guam. That's lovely, right? But the people of Guam are suffering from a high cost of living. They're not being given Social Security. We've lost compact impact funding, and we shouldn't be bashing our head against the wall saying, oh, we lost it, you have to give it back to us. We're not going to get it back. We have to think of creative new ways to make up that shortfall and to get that support, because I'll tell you what, the kids that aren't going to school at Simon Sanchez, they don't have time for politics or for, nice words, or, oh, I wrote a letter to ask someone to help out. That's not going to actually, we all know it, it's not going to turn into a school. And those kids don't have time. They've lost years to COVID, and now they're losing years to a school that was damaged by Mawar. And there's got to be creative ways, contracting ways, working with the federal government and the local government to get them back in an environment where they can learn and they can succeed. So professionalizing the office is something I really want to work on.
Okay. Ginger Cruz, your candidate for Guam's delegate under the Democratic ticket. If you can look into that camera right there, and your final message to the voters.
I would just say that It's been an incredible journey. My whole life has been based on what I've learned in Guam, and Guam has always been my home and has always been in my heart. I really want to give back to the people of Guam, but I want to do so in a way that is smart and caring and produces results. And I really hope that I'm given the chance. And I want to be put to work for the people of Guam. But the one thing that I will say is I can't be put to work for the people of Guam if the people of Guam don't take the time to be part and go to the polls and actually vote. I think my biggest hurdle right now is reaching out to people and having them take that time and give me that vote of confidence and go to the polls. So the one thing that I would ask everybody is listen, talk to me, and if you believe in what I can do, then I need people to go to the polls on August 3rd and vote for Ginger Cruz.
There you go. Thank you, Ginger, for your time. And we'll wrap up the interview for now and see what the other candidates have to say in the coming weeks.
Perfect. Thanks, Nick.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for watching the interview. I'm Nick Delgado. Stay safe.